We spoke about this many times about data overload because of everything on social media and everything that we view, and everybody has their own opinion, and you don't need more information. You need.
I think one of the reasons that the coaching industry in general had for a long time really left a bad taste in my mouth was that
we're all about efficiency. We want you to be able to maximize all your results. We want you to be able to maximize all your ROI, in your effort, in your time, in your finances.
And I'm not calling out any of my friends who will come to me after they've thrown it into ChatGPT, like, oh, I asked Chat to give me his opinion. And it's always similar.
An operating system that is like a force to be reckoned with. It will help you withstand the trials and tribulations. It will help you scale in the proactive way that we believe businesses can. We believe that you can. Hey there, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda. Welcome to the Pursuit of Badassery, the podcast. Today, we're talking about why we basically stopped coaching your businesses and instead are teaching you how to operate your businesses. Because here's the thing, Lynn and I have never really considered ourselves to be business coaches. We are consultants. We look at your business, we figure out what's broken, and then we tell you how to fix it. And then we help you do it. So after years of doing that with thousands of people, we realized that entrepreneurs don't really need another coach telling them what to do and how to feel about it. They need an operating system that helps them actually get ahead and get to the next level. So we took the Badass Amplifier, which is one of our signature programs, and we completely tweaked it, maximized it, and we're going to tell you why.
Yeah, we shifted it towards a business operating system. And I actually love this. You've probably heard me say this, and I would say conservatively 30% of 200 podcasts that we have produced, that structure creates freedom. Amanda said it, we never really were coaches. And so essentially when we developed the Badass Amplifier, although we were still consulting, it very much felt like it was reactive. It was not as common for people to take ownership in a way that was needed. What our business centers around is not just making you do the shit, but it is behind that. What we do is help you with the business aspect, how to operate your business, how to look for opportunity, how to build the structures, like what to think of, what not to do, and all of these other things that are outside of tactical and technical, although we do help with both. But it really is about taking ownership of what you do. We've all seen it, especially since COVID. All these programs that come out now, all those COVID coaches, which drives me batshit crazy, even conferences, but this was way before COVID. They were designed to really almost give you an injection of inspiration or an injection of knowledge, an injection of something. And it tended to be very reactive. Even in our BA or Badass Amplifier, we were conscious about positioning it to be in a proactive way. However, the structure now deems it more. I want to go back to the structure creates freedom, is that now people don't just show up and say, okay, this is what's going on. They can. However, now it's a lot more laser focused. And so when we have laser focus in something, we tend to be able to be more efficient, actually get the shit done, get more creative because our mind is in that and not fluttering everywhere. Because we know there's a cajillion things that we could be doing in business. And at the end of the day, when we can hyper focus in on little bite-sized chunks within the business, especially in a vertical of the operating system, which is your business, it only helps you build the fundamentals and foundations stronger while still helping the individuals in the BA and other programs be able to handle the right now and right here as well. And really be able to be a lot more proactive with the fundamentals and the foundations being built differently.
I think one of the reasons that the coaching industry in general had for a long time really left a bad taste in my mouth was that it was always this kind of fluffy, well, what do you think you should do? How do you feel about what you're thinking about?
Coaching.
And, it's like learn, get motivated, implement, then you get stuck, and then you hire another coach because you're like, oh, well, that's as far as that coach could take me, because that coach, all they were doing was asking you how you felt about it. And even then, and I see this sometimes, and I'm not calling out any of my friends, but you know who you are, who will come to me after they've thrown it into Chat GPT. Like, oh, I asked Chat to give me his opinion. And I'm like, oh, well, what did he say? And it's always similar in this, like, well, what do you think you should do? Well, how do you feel about this aspect of it? And how do you feel like you would do if this were like this one was good and this is good? And it never really gives you like, no, you need to be doing this. That's one of the things that people got scared off of the whole coaching program.
People want to deal with people, not Terminators. People hate people.
And myself included, it's being in coaching programs years ago. That's always what it was. It was just this like motivation around entrepreneurship, which is important. I'm not saying it's not important to be motivated, but the difference between the coaching as we sometimes see it and what Lynn and I do in the consulting world is a very different thing. Like, we are going to tell you what you need to do. We're going to tell you things you don't want to hear, which I know a lot of times in some of the, we'll call them the newer coaching that I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years, it is more of almost like life coaching, not business coaching. It's like, how do you feel about those decisions that you're making? And that's great. And that's not what we're doing in the Badass Amplifier. And it's not what Lynn and I ever really wanted to do. Like, more information isn't necessarily needed in order to fix your business, a business that's fundamentally disorganized or fundamentally not getting what it needs out of it. And I mean, you could Google search your life away, finding other things that do and do not work. And it's great to have somebody cheering you on, but it's better to get the work done. Because I don't know, I like to be cheered on, but I also like to be by myself on a beach somewhere because I got my work done. I know that in this group coaching world, it's one of the things that we've always kind of like pushed off. Like, we don't want to be considered coaches because we're not really hiding behind what really needs to happen. We're going to tell you what needs to happen in your business. We're going to tell you the things you don't want to hear. We're going to call you out on your BS. We're going to call you out when you're avoiding something. And that's not always easy to hear. And in the BA, it's like one step more. We're going to tell you all the things, but we're also going to identify the gaps. We're also going to create strategies. We're also going to build systems, all the systems in the world, and push you to implement. And I think that's what really sets it apart. And I'm so glad that we made that jump and to pull away from the idea of group coaching, because it really isn't.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that there are a couple of comments that you made that I definitely want to come back to. But, I feel like we were always doing that in the BA. That's what the BA was designed to do, is to help. First of all, we are not somebody's yes person. We will be your cheerleader, but we're also going to be the kick in the ass when you need it. And also the voice of reality and clarity when you need it, and definitely be able to help you flesh things out differently. And we spoke about this many times about all the information's out there. We're in information and like data overload because of everything on social media and everything that we view, and everybody has their own opinion and they're just kind of packaging it maybe differently. And then with all of the AI and technology, you don't need more information. You need to implement. You need to have the decipher lens on to be able to say, this is what I need, and I can implement this right fucking now. And that is something that we've always been an asset to our people, the paid and the unpaid clients, over the many, many years of doing business, but definitely in the BA. But moving it towards the operating system, that structure where we pillared each month underneath a certain aspect of your business and then hyper focusing in, allows you to go deeper and deeper and deeper. I've used this analogy at least a couple of times on one or two of the podcasts, but I have this client, actually it's more of a story analogy, but I have a contracting client, and we would talk about like scheduling, and they have multiple homes going at once. And so we had the conversation about how the laborers were losing time because the owner would send them from one place and then make them go to another place the same day. But it's easy to have this analogy when you're in contracting, you bring all of your tools to the site. And so you start the day, takes you about a half hour to kind of prep and like get all of the tools out, company tools that you need out of the storage container, et cetera, et cetera. You set up, then you have to break down. That's another half hour, like put everything away. And then if you're going to another site, you have to unpack everything, get prepared, get your mind in the game on this particular job, know what blueprints to follow for this particular house, and then so on and so forth. And that's what was happening. People could lose momentum and wasting energy. We're all about efficiency. We want you to be able to maximize all your results. We want you to be able to maximize all your ROI, your effort, in your time, in your finances, etc. And so this is truly the underlining why we really moved it. And it's the evolution. Look, we've said it a cajillion times, we will die on this hill, or as Amanda said yesterday, kill somebody on this hill. I don't know. I haven't heard that one yet. Your business is an eating, breathing, living thing. And you have to continue to maintain it, to nurture it, to uplevel it, to look at how you can improve it, to streamline things, to this, to that. Like, it is not a set it and forget it. And there's so many different facets of your business that are like that. Now, some of our technical stuff, yes, you might have learned that back in the day and you haven't really taught yourself anything new. Then you're super niche in the technical side, or you're becoming outdated, one or the other, or both. But with the business, if you are not working on the fundamentals, the foundations, and all of the pillars that we go over in the BA, underneath the new business operating system in a structured way, you're hurting your business. You're leaving money on the table, and you're definitely not allowing yourself the growth and scalability that you could possibly have, but also you're probably killing your business. Look, you have to look at yourself as your number one client, and that means your business. And what I mean by that is all these things that we just said, like, are you investing in an efficient way, hyper focused, to be able to build upon the different pillars with support to do that? Like, you can chat GPT anything. You look, Amanda and I use AI all the time, and it helps make us even more efficient. But it's not without our human eye and with our human input, and constantly even improving how we utilize those tools. And you can have all the AI, even with Claude, you can have the implementation with Claude, but it still takes you to be able to have the foresight and the work to be able to, like, make sure that you're up leveling the business. And at the end of the day, to come back to the topic, is all of these things are reasons why we went to the business operating system, because especially too with like AI happening, it's one thing to have Claude spit out a beautiful like SOP. And are you implementing it? Are you improving it? That's the human eye. And that's why we really wanted to make sure it wasn't only just the structure so we could hyper focus, but it was also to make sure that, because we want you to leverage AI, we want you to leverage the things that you have to be able to be more efficient and to have a better outcome, but then also have the ability to get into it a little bit for that month, and then kind of see and work out those kinks and things, or be able to have, like we do a little bit in the beginning of the month. We do, okay, this is a pillar, we're going over this, this, and this. And then in the middle of the month, we're like, okay, now what? Did you implement that? This is what you said in the group that you were going to do. So having that ability to be able to flush it out, learn about it, implement it, flush it out, get feedback, and then revamp it, is also teaching the pattern that we need as entrepreneurs to constantly be nurturing our business and growing it, because it is this constant cycle of, okay, idea, implement, or whatever, it might not be idea, but like situation, implement, check it, and then refresh, revamp, whatever. And it's just this constant cycle with everything. And so I'm so happy. And I do love structure too. And this has been something that we really wanted to do along the way, but we had to figure our own way out. And I'll come back to that in a second.
Well, it's also about getting ahead instead of catching up.
Correct.
Because most entrepreneurs aren't running their businesses, they're reacting to them. They're constantly reacting to what's next. Like, oh, revenue drops, like there's a quick panic, I have to do this. A team member quits, okay, no, some more panic. And then a launch doesn't work, there's more panic there. The cash gets tight, because it always does at some point, more panic. So an operating system is designed to help you see what's coming before it gets there, before it becomes a crisis, looking at things from another light. And some things are cyclical. We know there's businesses have seasons. We know there are the ebbs and flows that you normally have, but there are also sales cycles. There are things that come every year. And the easiest one, we're about to have one now. We have the Black Friday coming up. The holidays are coming up, and that's going to change your sales cycle. So rather than a week before being, oh crap, Black Friday's next week, and reacting to that news, why not plan ahead a little bit? Think, oh, I know it's coming, so why don't I do something ahead of time? And so that's what this operating system really does. It helps you look at your business and then look ahead at your business.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff's going to come up every year. There are things that are going to come up that are completely unexpected, but there are some things that you can plan for. And a strong business with strong systems will be able to withstand any changes. And when you have a proper system, it will allow you the time, energy, space, freedom, creativity, whatever, to think ahead and to be a CEO. And I always make this analogy because I've been talking to a lot of different people about what the heck I mean, what we mean when we say like to step into CEO mode. The CEO mode is actually looking forward at the business as a whole. It's not just doing the things in your business that you could train somebody and hire somebody eventually. Maybe not right now, because if everything in your business lives in your head, you might not be able to train somebody right now to do that part of the business. Are you just kind of like managing and working in your business, or are you the person who's going to get you to the next level? Are you the CEO who's actually thinking about the things that drive revenue, that drive profits, that maybe opening up a whole new product line? Like, what is it that you're doing as a CEO? And an operating system, when the systems are done right, gives you the space to do that. And it gives you pathway to follow to get to that next level. But otherwise, we say it all the time, we've said it a million times, but you are the most overworked, underpaid employee in a job that you created for yourself. And we don't want that. Nobody wants that.
Absolutely.
Nobody signed up to be an entrepreneur to have that be the reality.
Yeah. You know, I don't know how many of you that are listening have had a true C-suite position, like a true one. But CEOs, they need a cadence. They need to know what it is and pathway, right? So they create their own based on if they step into the role or creating their business, but it's a cadence. They're not waking up every day and deciding what matters this week. They already know. Amanda talked about that pathway. Not only do they already know because that strategy is in place, the systems are in place, there's things that are operating. That's the other part of it. And Amanda kind of touched on it. I think she said something. It's funny. I was chuckling to myself because it's hilarious how much we think alike, but how we say it differently at times. An operating system should be running in the background and then you do things to improve it, right? So that's your strategy. But it's also like, you know who owns what, when it is, what the target is. And then the CEO can work on continuing the vision, the bigger growth and things like that, versus always being in the weeds of what is. And that prevents movement. That doesn't allow you to actually have and move things, which is crazy. And also, you know where to direct your attention at all times. Also, it helps you prioritize. So when you have the operating system in full blow and you're hyper focusing in on every month on this and building it, you're able to see the bigger picture. You're able to then, like Amanda and I was saying earlier, to be proactive. And when you're in the proactive space, even when something happens in the day, a fire that has to be put out, you're able to prioritize differently because you're not looking at all of this to do for the day and figuring it out. You already know what is supposed to be. And so it gives you the breathing room to be able to prioritize things in a very different way than in that reactive space. The other thing I want to touch on, and when you can hyper focus on something for 30 days, read Atomic Habits, 30 days to create a new habit, but it allows you to be able to see through all of the internal and external, implicit and explicit kind of beliefs around what you think. Because a lot of times we'll ask people, for example, oh, what's your sales process? Either they're going to tell us, oh, it's killer, or we don't have one. When you're in something for 30 days, it allows you to be able to clear out even some of the beliefs, some of the ideas, and be able to get to the real nuggets that are going to move the change, that are going to be the needle that moves, right? And again, I know we're kind of floating between why we changed the BA and what the operating system is, and like entrepreneurship kind of probably 202, maybe 303. It is absolutely essential for a long-term scalable business, period. For Amanda and I, we know this because we've lived it. We have lived it. I've been teaching this for 15 years. We've lived it for 60 years, almost, not quite, 55.
A long time.
a long time. We've been entrepreneurs for a very long time, and to be able to see the ebbs and the flows and understand, but also like it is who we are at the core. So at the end of the day, we knew that we had to do this. And it is also because we lived this through our own businesses. We've seen where we didn't hyper focus in long enough to see the real problem. We saw where we didn't have our operating system up to par at the level that we need. There were gaps, there were holes, there were problems, there were shortfalls. There were places where we would be reactive and not give ourselves enough time. Even when we 6 months before said, okay, this is our timeline, we need to make sure that we're ahead of the ball. And even though our team was all set up, we were still like cutting it short. And so we've lived it. We still live it because it's part of the business evolution. It's part of people getting comfortable and lazy and different things within the ecosystem of what is your business. It's part of you maybe getting burnt out or getting distracted or whatever. But when you have an operating system that is like a force to be reckoned with, it will help you withstand the trials and tribulations. It will help you scale in the proactive way that we believe businesses can. We believe that you can.
My journey on entrepreneurship would have been so different had I started with systems, had I started with an operating system, had I started on the path of thinking ahead. And I always sort of thought in the future anyway. It's not like I never thought about the future in entrepreneurship. However, when I was first starting out, when you don't know what you don't know. And so everything was reactive. The value and benefit to having a system and to actually implementing the things you say you're going to implement instead of just making this massive to-do list that never gets done. You'll see the growth exponentially. It's unreal how quickly things can change when you're doing the things you're supposed to do. And when you are thinking ahead and getting ahead rather than literally reacting as things come up, as if it's, oh, I can't believe. I mean, we always joke, oh, I can't believe it's almost September. Like, yeah, that is crazy. But we're already planning for February. So I think there's a very different thought of being surprised genuinely and reacting genuinely, like, oh my God, I have so much to do. Now it's a new month, versus thinking ahead and getting ahead and then reacting to new things that come up. Because that's the thing about business. No matter how proactive you are, there will be things you have to react to. There are things that are going to come up that weren't expected. That's what analytics are for. So you can check things in real time. And your business will go so much further, so much faster if you have a system. Structure creates freedom.
Yeah. And listen, Amanda kept adding, it's also about stopping things and getting rid of things in your business as well. And that's very much something that needs to be stated. Here's the thing. These are all of the reasons why. There's a few personal reasons, like the accountability almost started to feel like we were babysitting because it was reactive and we don't want that. You guys are grown-ass adults, all these other things. At the end of the day, our purpose is to help you be the CEO of your business and of your life, like really that position, and stop being a fucking employee of your business. Stop having the silo or the handcuffs on you where you have to be the only one who's constantly saving it, constantly working it, constantly doing all of the things. That feels heavy. It is heavy. And so although we were doing that with the old structure, this one is a very different structure. Now, I want to add one other thing because this is a proactive step. Some of you may know that Amanda and I are about to start licensing or quasi-licensing. We're still discussing that particular term. It depends on what
the lawyers
region
figure it out.
It depends on the region that you're in. But essentially, we're going to start licensing our products. That is the BA. And in order to be able to license something, even though Amanda are great at what we do, there are so many brilliant consultants out there, even coaches out there that could absolutely kill the systems and the processes and the structures in which we've built over the past X amount of years. And so that's just a little insider. Like, we are always trying to choose something that will never be a one-off and that is scalable, right? And anything that we choose, from an app to a program to position in our company, whatever that is, we are always looking at how can we maximize this? Like, we don't want to fit just right. We want it to be growable. And so that's what the BA was in the beginning. We needed to get proof of concept. We needed to make sure that we worked out some of the kinks to be able to track, because we understand also that we are very type A. Talking about this shit isn't sexy either. Like, a lot of people, man, and I get super excited about it, but not everybody does. And usually our clients are not the ones who get excited about talking about these things. They're excited about the results of it. We had to get that proof of concept from a different way, from we'll say a lighter version, the 1.0 version. And so now gloves are off, sleeves are up, we're ready to roll. And that is why we switched it from that normal BA structure that we had before to a business operating system, really positioning you and helping you be in that role.
So if you yourself or you know someone who really needs to step it up in their business, who is ready to get to the next level, who has hit this plateau and is done being the most overworked, underpaid employee in their own company, hit us up, join the BA, reach out to us, because that's why we got into this business, to help you get out of that situation. We have both run multiple businesses and we know what it is to be in that kind of business versus being in a business where there is a much more freedom and much more cash flow and much more all the things that you want. And that's what we want for all entrepreneurs. Every time I see a reel about how hard entrepreneurship is, I'm like, yeah, it is. And you are obviously still in the sucky part of it. There are such great things about entrepreneurship. I would never go back. I much prefer my 1,000-hour a week to the 9-to-5 that other people have. And if more people realized the potential of their business and how it could change and how they could see it differently, oh my gosh, it would change everything.
Yeah. And we're not just talking about those that are making less than 50K a year. Like, we have people who are 7 figures USD in the BA. And because the structure, even in the light version or the 1.0 version, that structure, that accountability, that hyper-focusing will just up-level where you're from. You're the starting point right now, and it will only get better from there. And so share this podcast with a friend. Make sure you're hitting subscribe if you have not. And if you're listening to this on any other platform other than YouTube, head over to YouTube and check us out, because you can actually see our faces. And we're continuing to grow that YouTube channel.
Make sure you're subscribing, following, all the things. And until next time,
get after it.
If you're really looking to transform your business, your life, this is where you come.
So my experience with the retreat was actually very positive. It was so much fun meeting other entrepreneurs.
The kick up the butt, the game changer.
My overall experience has been really productive, really intense, but in a good way. It saved me time in ways that I wouldn't be able to do if I was to do it on my own.
My social media is done for the next 3 months. It's something that I really resent. I hate the time and the energy that takes, and we did that in an afternoon. All I need to do is just apply a few pictures and schedule it. And just the mental burden of not having to do that, the release from that is amazing.
Basically teaches everything they knew about how to strategize, how to plan ahead.
Their work, their commitment to their purpose, their combined knowledge, their own interactions, and the container open the door to the next level.
There are no better people to get started with than Lynn and Amanda, so I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and do it and register right now and see what is out there for you and your business.